Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be with you guys this morning. I'm Jenny Thomas. I am a mama of four littles. I have twin boys and then two girls, a 7 and 3-year-old. And each one of my kids have such sweet spirits and gifting and needs, as I'm sure all of your kids do too. As I've been raising my kids alongside my husband, we have really overcome obstacles and got the ability to celebrate so many joys. And as we did, we've needed a community to come together with us as we go through these different milestones to guide us, hold our hand, celebrate the joys with us, pray with us through each milestone. So today, I want to come alongside you as we talk about how do we raise our kids in the world that we live in. It's a time to come together and have a community that can support and pray for one another. And each week, I get a fun opportunity to share my journey of raising kids with all of you. And then afterwards, we can hop on a Zoom and have a time of mentorship and community. So I am going to put up a little link here. On this link, if you are new here, sign up on this link and it'll send you then an email to hop on after I get done sharing about our journey today. If you've already been with us for a couple of times, then you'll automatically just get an email. You don't have to re sign up each day. But I'm excited because in this time, after I share a little story, a little thing that's going on in our family, then we get to come and support you and be that community that you need as you're raising kingdom kids. So today it is Valentine's Day. I don't know about your house, but it's a day of love at our house. So happy Valentine's Day. Our house, we celebrate it all the time. We start the first part of February. As I know some of you guys heard in a previous journey story, is we make hearts. We make these sweet hearts that has a message that we put on each one of our kids' doors. And we do it every day throughout February. There are words of encouragement. Their words of appreciation to tell them how much we just love them. Their thank you. They're just any type of words that just lift them up and reminds them how special they are and how loved they are. And so when we start working towards Valentine's Day, my kids get so excited. Today, as we were talking about the different hearts, I asked them, I said, what do these hearts show you? When mommy and daddy put them on your door, what does it mean to you? And it was so sweet. They talked about how it showed them love, how much they're appreciated, what would they enjoy, that we actually recognize what they enjoy, and that the little things truly do matter. Lucas said, Mom, there's some of those little things that I didn't even know that you knew I did or noticed. And it really showed in the heart because I saw you write about it twice. And oh my gosh, it just melted my heart. I thought, oh, I want him to know all the time that I see those little things because it's the little things that matter. So I wish I could continue doing hearts every single day for the entire year, but I know it wouldn't have that same appreciation and special moments if I did. But it did make me think, you know what? It's so important to encourage our children to show them that love, even on just random days, that they need those. They need those little words. So as we start into today, it's interesting when you talk about Valentine's Day because the first thing my kids are going to do when they get home today is run up the stairs, look at their door, and see what special heart. Because I make a big heart on the last day and just talk about everything that they are. And to hear their cheering, their laughter, reading it out loud, that joy and excitement, that brings me so much love. That brings me so much hope. And it really speaks life into who they are. So we were talking the other day in our house about what is Valentine's Day. And we did a devotion on love and what is love. And so we went and we looked. We started investigating where did the history of Valentine's come from? And how it's more of a man made celebration and holiday nowadays than it was in the past. It was the showing your love for that person. And so, as we were having this conversation, we started talking about, well, what does God say about love? And I encouraged them, the girls and the boys, each of them, well, tell me, what does God say about love? The boys, being a little bit older and more mature and more familiar with Bible verses, they said, well, there's an actual verse, Mommy. You know that talks about love. I'm like, well, what is that? So I made them kind of deep dive in and see, okay, what is this verse? So I'm going to pop up the verse here. Let's put this verse here. The first one is Mark 12:30. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And then the next verse that came to it is Mark 12:31. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than these. And so I asked the boys, I said, well, tell me, what does this mean? What does this verse say to you? And how does it show love? It's interesting, with their development and where they're at. Sam says, Mom, it means God is everything to me and that I should show love to everyone, even if they aren't my favorite, but I'm supposed to love them. Love them because it's the biggest commandment. And I said, perfect. I agree with that. Adeline, and Adeline, you have to understand, is my lover. She is so sweet, so loving, just has the kindest spirit you can imagine. And she said, oh, it means that I ask him into my heart. He's just my everything. And every day I should write notes and hug people and just tell them how special they are. Oh, I just giggled. And it's like you just see that love and that specialness of her own spirit. Lucas, on the other hand, he just pondered. He said, Mom, that's pretty complex. You know that, right? Well, yes, Lucas, but tell me more. Why is it so complex? And he's like, you know what? It really means that we have to change our heart, how we speak, and how we think. Because if he's really going to be everything to us, our heart, our soul, our strength, we have to rely on him 100%. And that means we have to change our self-talk. That means that we have to change our thought process and not do it on our own, but really have to rely on him. And that's complex. It's like, yeah, that truly is. And then Ellie, on the other hand, she said, Mom, I love you, and gave me a big hug. And that is where she's at right now. Everything's hugs and love you. And it just mimics, where we are all at in our development of what love is and how we picture it and how we develop our love. And I know each one of us love our children so much, but the big question is, when it comes to loving our children's, does our children feel that love? Deep down, they all know that their parents love them, but how are you loving them? How are you showing them that? And do they feel it? Do they see that? Do they see it in your actions and your words? Do they understand that deep love? It's interesting in my medical career, I see a lot of kids who can tell you, well, I know my parents love me, but they don't understand me and they don't love me for this. Or their actions don't speak it. I hear it, they say it, but their actions don't. And so I feel so misunderstood and I don't know who to communicate, who to talk to. And it had me thinking as I was writing and just praying about this is, how do we show them that we really love them? How do we show them that it's unconditional love? That we love them unconditionally. And many times I ask this question to parents of, how do you love them? Do you develop that sweetheart relationship, that heart to heart, where you truly connect and we can understand and see them and we have that open communication with them? Or do we say it but not always follow it with our actions? In my house, I tell my children all the time, I want that heart to heart connection with you. I see that you're upset, or I see that your heart's really happy. Tell me about it. I want to know your heart inside and out. And we call it our heart to heart connection, where we can just look at each other and know whether the heart is completely filled or the heart is empty and needs some attention, some love, some affection. Our main purpose in raising our children that God gave us, He gave us these children to raise, is to win their heart over for Christ. But how do we do that? It all goes back to the Bible verse, and I'm going to put it up again. Love the Lord God with all your heart as parents, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. So how do we do that? How do we show that? Well, we can do that in various ways, but both our actions and our words matter, and we have to show it in both. We can develop that relation and truly love our children, but let's take it one step further and have a heart-to-heart connection. So as I was praying, I'm like, God, give me wisdom in this. Show me this. The book of the 5 love languages came to mind. And I got to thinking about that. One way that we can do this is really understanding our child's love language, understanding more of how they need that communication, what actions they need, and what things we can avoid because we know what their love language is. And then we can have that connection, that relationship, that communication. So when they're little, we can understand and communicate. And when they're teenagers and when they're off in college, we can understand and communicate with them so that they truly understand that unconditional love and you develop that relationship. And I know many of you have probably heard about the love languages when it comes to your marriage, but let's apply it to our kids. So I sat down and I'm going to go through each of these love language and let's see how we can apply it to our kids. But before I do that, I want each of you to just take a few seconds, write down your kids' names and think about what is their love languages or what actions and communication do they need that show that they're loved so we can identify that love language. And us as parents can figure out how do we communicate, what actions we need to take, and things that we need to avoid so we can develop that heart to heart connection with them. So, the different love languages. How many of you guys put it in the chat have heard of love languages? Have any of you guys studied it at all? Do a raise your hand or yes in the chat if you have. Yes. Okay. So a couple of you guys have. So love language. So I'm going to start with the first one, quality time. If you think about quality time, that's that uninterrupted focused time, those conversation. That one-on-one time is so critical. So what actions? You have to create those special moments. You have to build time to actually hear and see what the heart of your child is. And it means leave out the distractions, put that phone away, anything that's going to distract you of what you need to do, and just have that uninterrupted time with them. So, what examples could we do? Well, you could have your child help you with cooking or baking. You could go on special dates. If they love to play sports, then you could go play a basketball game or throw a ball with them. Get outside and do an activity that they love. Read together, spend some time reading together. Build a fort. If you have younger kids, build a fort with them. That's so fun and it means so much to them. Or take them play with them at the park, swing with them, go run with them, go fish with them. What do they really love to do? And then have it be uninterrupted. That is the big key, is to have it be uninterrupted. For us, this is Lucas. Lucas 100% of the time. You know, his favorite thing is for me and him to drive to his baseball together. And he just talks and is silly and just gets to have that crazy time with just mama. His other favorite things is cooking. So we do a lot of baking, and he will tell you it's him and I's recipe for the chocolate chips. Nobody else can make it just like us. We make the best chocolate chip cookies, and he won't share it with anybody else. And if we're going to bake chocolate chip cookies, it has to only be him and I. You know, and it's one of those things that he wants just one-on-one, either him and his dad or him and me to play with him when it comes to baseball. Let's go throw. And as you're throwing, he starts opening up his heart and he'll be like, hey, did you know this went on today? Or, hey, I heard about this. Tell me more, as you're just passing that ball back and forth. But that's his time. And then he opens up, and it opens up that communication and that heart to heart connection and time together. The other thing is when he's kind of off, when he's not himself, I recognize that and I realize that he needs some one-on-one time. And that's usually when I say, hey, buddy, let's go on a special date. Where do you want to go? And sometimes when we're on that special date, he opens up. Sometimes he doesn't. And he just needs to know that, you know what? He gets to have my one-on-one time and that he is loved. And I'm there if he wants to talk. And if he doesn't, that's okay. And it's very amazing that after I do that one-on-one time, I can come back and our day is like flipped. It's like a 360. But that's his love language and that's what he needs. And you know, when I think about that, quality time, God wants that too. And if I apply it from that perspective too, he wants our one-on-one devotion time, committing ourselves to praying, to reading, to talking with him. And I think about, oh my gosh, that quality time when I spend that, how refreshed and loved I feel. So I can only imagine that if this is our child's love language, how refreshed and loved they would feel too. The other thing is the words of affirmation. It's those quality words. Quality. I am going to hyphenate that. Quality is huge. That courage, positivity, affirmation, the appreciation. And what action do we have to do? We have to actively listen. Things to avoid is we have to recognize it. If you don't recognize it, it crushes their sweet hearts. And then they're sad. So you have to make specific effort to actively listen and to appreciate and give those positive words. Recognize it. How can you do that? Put a note in their lunchbox. Encourage their character. Oh, you know what? Way to not give up. Way to keep playing, even though your team wasn't winning. You gave it your all and you had a smile and you did it with a positive attitude. I'm so proud of you. Or recognizing, hey, thank you so much for sweeping the floors. And it's that leaving that impression behind that when they walk away, they were appreciated. They were encouraged about what they did. Talk about it at the dinner table. Tell them you love them often. For me, it's my Samuel. I leave him little notes on his tool bench. I leave it in his lunchbox or in his locker, and it's huge, or on his pillow. And it's funny, you can really tell that it's his love language because he leaves notes in his sister's locker all the time. And it's funny, he also recognizes it because poor Adeline, she is sweet as can be, and they had to write love notes in their class. And I say love notes, it's like letters of encouragement to all the class. And we're supposed to do it for, somebody in the class. Well, everybody wrote it. And as she was asking, who are you writing for? Who are you writing for? She noticed two of the girls no one said. So she made sure that, oh my gosh, she wants everybody to be appreciated and get gifts and notes and all of that. No one ever be left out. Like, she is so inclusive. And so she wrote it for two little girls. Well, at the end of that little activity, they got to give it out. So everybody got little notes except for her. And her teacher was so sweet and said, oh my gosh, you know what though? Even though you didn't get a note, everybody appreciates you and sees it. And so you know that when you go out and play in the playground. And she just went on and on of different ways that she gets recognized. But to sweet Addie's heart, she didn't feel recognized. And so when she got to the car, it was big tears everywhere. Well, you know what? That was Sam's thing. He knew about that words of encouragement. So he whispered in my ear, hey, can we go to CVS? I need to get her a special card. So I was like, sure, we can do that. So we go and get snacks at CVS, and I take the girls and we pick out snacks, and I hand him over some money. And so the girls and I pick out snacks, and we exit CVS and get in the car. And Adeline says, but Mom, we left the boys behind. And I was like, oh yeah, they're still picking it out. They're going to figure it out on their own. The boys picked the sweetest card for her and just wrote how appreciated and how wonderful she's made. And they picked out the sweetest card that had a bookmark. So then as she's reading her book, because she's big into reading her books right now, then she had that. And I just thought, wow, how special is that? Just getting those words, having that written down, and he knows that that's his love language. So he shares that and shows that to others too. Those words of encouragement. And we get words of encouragement through the Bible. As we read the Bible, there's different words of encouragement that we're like, oh my gosh, this is who God says I am. This is what I am. This is who I am as I stand firm in him. We also get it through prophetic words. And we all know how that makes us feel and that encouraging, and it keeps us moving forward. So let's keep encouraging our kids, especially if that's their love language. The other one is physical touch. I'm going to call it affection, because sometimes saying that with kids can come off differently. So let's give them affection, that nonverbal use of our body language, that touch, that holding hands, giving them big hugs. And when we don't, they need those hugs. They need that cuddle time. If we don't, then they feel kind of lost. And so that's a big thing to recognize, whether they're leaving for school, coming home, hugging them, telling them, have a great, wonderful day. Laying your hands on your child when you pray. Holding their hands when you're praying or when you're walking. When you're doing some activity, hold their hand. Having special movie nights where you guys can just come together and cuddle. It's that just feeling. Giving them high fives. As they get older, they don't always want to show all those hugs and kisses, especially in front of their friends. Lucas will run before Mama can kiss him goodbye in front of his friends. So we have to do it at the house beforehand. But at baseball, high five, way to go. I'm proud of you. When they're younger, it's that chasing and tickling and being silly with them, that they just have that affection. Just like God, when we feel him just surrounding us and giving us those big daddy hugs, how warm we feel inside. The other one is acts of service. This is number 4, acts of service. Doing stuff together to alleviate their daily workload or their burden, whatever's burdening them. They want you to partner, not just do it for them, but they want to see that partnership. And it's one of those things that when you think through it, it's the small things that they want you to partner with. So it's, partnering with them to make a special breakfast. It's the partnering with them to build things, partnering with them as they do their chores or have to pick up, helping them pack their bag. Hey, I see you're really busy, trying to get dressed and ready for the day. Let me pack your bag for you. You wanted a sandwich and you wanted some chips and stuff, anything else, let me help you. Or as they're working through their homework, sitting beside them. I'm here for you. Let's do it together. And it's sometimes just that support and just sitting beside them. But it makes a huge difference to have that. Or, hey, you know what? You're building here in the garage. Let me come build with you. Or let me help you pick up because it's getting to be the end of the day and it's time to pick up. That having that helping hand. And the last one is gifts, that thoughtfulness, making your child a priority, speaking purposely to them and giving them thoughtful gifts and gestures. It's small gifts. And they matter in a big way. It's expressing the gratitude when receiving gifts also. So it's, it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I need to go buy all these new gifts at all. It needs to be the small things. And then when they give you gifts, it's the appreciation. They need to see that because they appreciate gifts so much to be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. For me, this is Adeline. So when she gives me a picture or a card, recognizing it, giving her a big hug, telling her how much I love it, and then is putting it up on my wall. I have a whole wall that is just filled of the different things that my kids do and putting it up and showing them how special that is. It can be little things like the hearts for Valentine's that I put. Addie, I did it differently. I would wrap it up. And so I'd either have it wrapped up on her door or she'd have to unwrap it because it's a gift. Or I'd do a treasure hunt and she'd have to go find it. And then she got to put it on her door. It's things like we'll go for a walk, either at school or Ellie and I will go to the park and we'll bring home some rocks. She loves painting rocks. And we'll wrap up or put it in a fun little bag and decorate the bag. These rocks that she can then take and wash and shine in her rock collector, or she can take and paint because she loves painting them. But it's the simple things. I give her a note in her bag and it's like, oh my gosh, that's a gift to her. Every week we go through and we read certain books together because she's developing her reading. And so even though they're books at our house, I'll wrap them up or I'll put them in a special place or I'll put it with a note on her desk of, hey, this is our special time. Here's your gift, your book that we get to read this week. And it's usually 3 of them. So I do it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it means the world. So it's simple things. And holidays are huge for them. And birthdays. They're the ones that want to celebrate all the time and give. If she could, every day that we go to Starbucks and get coffee, she would buy coffee for the entire population. It's always like, can we bless the person behind us? Can we buy their coffee for them? So many times we spend a lot of money as we go get coffee because that's just her sweet heart. She wants to give. And I love that about her. And God wants to give to us. And he's given us these children to be able to raise. He's given us the blessing of our houses, the blessing of our warmth, of our food. He's our provider. So I think about how great that is and how we can rely on him all the time and the gifts that he gives us, that I think, wow, that's awesome. That love language of gifts. How unique and special is that? Now, I will tell you, if you don't know your kids' love language, that's okay. Doing these simple things under each, you'll develop it, you'll see it, but they also matter. Every single one of those things matters to your children. And it just shows that love, that heart-to-heart connection, and that unconditional love. I don't know Eliana's yet. I know that she loves that quality time. She loves just baking. As soon as the kids are at school, she says, Mama, what are we going to bake? Can we make cupcakes with frosting? And it's always frosting and sprinkles. But she also loves words of affirmation. and physical touch, cuddle, hold me, mama. As she grows older, I'll be able to figure out which one. But in the meantime, I get to enjoy and I get to build a heart to heart connection and develop a relationship and communication and sit and talk with her and love with her and bake with her and see that joy and just build. And so, what I want for you today is to develop that relationship with your children, to have that heart to heart connection, that going deeper, that building that trust, that they don't just know that you love them, they feel it, they understand it, and know that it's unconditional. So, as we go into today, let's start building that relationship with our children and have the heart to heart connection, just like God wants us to have that heart to heart connection. Because you know what? He wants us to love Him and love our kids. And God wants us to love with all our heart, all our soul, all our mind, and all our strength. And when we love God with all of this, then we have so much love that we start overflowing and it just pours out onto us and into our kids. And that's what they need, especially in the world that we live in now. It's different. Things are different. They need that love. So come, hop on Zoom and let's continue talking about this of how we can recognize the different love languages. What do your kids need to know that unconditional love and to take those steps to have that heart to heart connection? So we'll start talking about this. So then you'll have experiences like me. When Sam's upset, when things aren't going well, he'll say, Mom, I don't feel like we have the heart to heart connection. There's things bothering me. I'm not able to share it. Can we sit down and talk about this because I'm not feeling it? I need that connection, Mom. And your kids will start saying that. So come, hop on Zoom. I'll put the link up again if you are new. If you have been here and registered before, you should have the link in your email by now. And let's discuss how we can continue to raise kingdom kids and talk about their love language and develop that heart to heart connection. So let me put up this link here again for all of us. Here it is. Perfect. I will see you guys